everyone, my name is Piyush Sachdeva and welcome back again to this amazing episode of AZ900 with Piyush. This is the seventh video in the series. If you haven't seen the previous videos yet, I will put the link of the playlist in the description section, so feel free to check that out. And without further ado, let's start the video. In this video, we will be looking into Azure virtual machine scale sets and availability sets. So let's start the video. Let's quickly see what exactly is VM scale set, and then I will show you the Azure portal as well. So let's assume your application is accessible to the external user through a load balancer, which is the front facing of your application. And behind your load balancer as the backend, you have your virtual machine. Let's call it VM1. Now, let's say if a disaster hits or the VM crashes or due to any reason the VM is not responding to the load balancer, your application will fail to respond to your user and the user will not be getting any response back from the website. So this scenario is called single point of failure. So here the application is not highly available. Now, to avoid a single point of failure and make your application highly available, we use something called as virtual machine scale sets. So in this virtual machine scale set, we provision multiple VMs. Let's call them VM1, VM2, and VM3. So this is VMSS1, and this is listening to your load balancer as the front end. And here is your user accessing the application through your load balancer. Now, let's say if VM1 goes down, then virtual machine scale set will provision another VM. Call it VM4. And it will make sure that certain number of VMs are always available and ready to serve the traffic. It has another important benefit, which is automatic scaling. So we have already seen scale out and horizontal scaling and vertical scaling in our previous videos. So the same happens over here. Let's say your CPU utilization goes above 75% for a particular VM. Let's call it this one. VM2 reaches the threshold of 75%. Then virtual machine scale set, it will provision another VM, VM5, to balance the load. This process is called scale out. Now, because your load on the server was high, that is why we had to provision a new VM. But when load goes down, it should automatically scale back to its original position, right? So that process is called scale in. So let's say when CPU utilization goes less than 25%, it will do the scale in and destroy the VM, and it will make sure that the three VMs are always up and running to balance the load. So I hope the VM scale set concept is clear to you now. Now let's move into Azure Portal and see how we can create a virtual machine scale set. Now let's go into Azure Portal. And over here, search for virtual machine scale sets or VMSS. Over here. And now you see a button over here which says create. Click over there. And then it will ask you the basic details like it was there in a virtual machine wizard. So you provide your subscription name, resource group name, and virtual machine scale sets name. So let me use the existing one, demo Piyush, and virtual machine scale set VMSS1. You select the region in which you want your virtual machine to exist. And then over here, you select your availability zones because this provides you high availability by spreading VMs across multiple zones. So you can select one or more VMs so that even if there is a zone failure, if a zone goes down completely, you still have the VMs up and running from the other available zones. So let me select VM 1, 2, and 3 so that it could spread the workload across all the available zones. And over here, we have two orchestration mode. One is uniform, another one is flexible. The default one is uniform, in which you deploy the identical VMs as part of the virtual machine scale sets. In flexible, you can deploy identical or multiple machine types. So you can click over here or hover the mouse over here, and it will provide you all those details that we just have discussed, right? So feel free to have a look at that. So I'll go with the default one, which is uniform, and I keep everything as default. Image type Ubuntu should be good with us, and machine type, let me keep it as it is. And then we have the same things that we have seen as part of the virtual machine. The other difference that it has is if you go to the scaling section over here, right? If you click over here, you see initial instance count. So as we have seen, virtual machine scale set could have multiple VMs serving as the backend. So you can put your initial count of VMs that it should have. Let's use number 3. So this machine will have 3 VMs as part of the initial count. Then there is this scaling policy, right? Whether you would want to scale your VMs based on your manual criteria, like someone would be clicking it manually, or there is a better way to do that, which is over here, custom. In custom, you provide basic details such as minimum number of instances, maximum number of instances. So this virtual machine scale set cannot have more than 10 VMs, even if the load is at its highest. So that is why the number is 10 over here. You can put a higher number over here, like if that is your requirement. So let me just keep it 10 for now. Now, these are the scale out and scale in conditions that we have discussed previously. So if CPU utilization is 75, or let's just use 80, and it will be there for an average of 10 minutes. That means it's not like there was a spike and it reached to the 80% and it spin up the VM. No, it will be calculated based on the time duration that we have mentioned over here. So it will wait for the 10-minute period, and then it will see if the CPU utilization is 80% over a period of 10 minutes. Then only it will increase the number of instances by 1. Again, these all fields are customizable. The same way, there is a scale-in policy. If the CPU utilization is below 25%, then it will decrease the number of VM by 1, right? So these were the only difference that it had. So then you can review everything and hit review and create. Once you do that, it will initially have 3 VMs, and based on the scale in and scale out policy and condition, it will provision and decommission the VM. So that's it for virtual machine scale sets. Now let's have a look at availability sets. In availability sets, your virtual machines are spread across multiple physical servers in a data centers to provide high availability. It spreads across multiple fault domains and update domains. Now let's have a look at the fault domain and update domains. So as you see over here in this diagram, fault domains are nothing but your physical server racks, and they are connected to the same power source or switches, etc. And update domains, so let's divide this physical rack into multiple partitions. So these are your multiple update domains, and these update domains are nothing but the group of servers that reboots or restart at the same time to perform any scheduled maintenance. So you have VM1 in update domain 1, you have your VM2 in update domain 2, and you have your VM3 in update domain 3. So if there is a failure of a complete server rack, let's say this one goes out, then you have your VM2 and VM3 still available to serve the load. And let's say if there is an update domain failure, like this one goes out, then you have your VM1 and VM3 ready to serve the load. So this is how you can achieve even high availability and fault tolerance using fault domains and update domains. Now time for the quick knowledge checks for what we have seen so far. So take a screenshot of this page and try to answer these questions. If you find any difficulty in understanding the concept or any of these questions, let me know in the comment section below and I will try to answer as soon as possible. And I will also try to take that question in our upcoming Saturday live session on YouTube. That's it for this video, guys. I hope this video was also helpful to you and you have learned something out of it. If you did, give it a thumbs up and share it across with your friends, family, and colleagues so that others can also take advantage of this learning opportunity. If you have any suggestions or feedback for me, feel free to let me know in the comment section. I will see you tomorrow with the next video in which we will be having a look at Azure Virtual Desktop and Azure Containers. Thank you very much for watching. You have a good day.